Okay, so in this video, I'm going to cover two different topics. One is this film that has developed on the surface of the water in my new fish tank. So I'm going to talk about the Eheim Skim350 surface skimmer. And then the last thing, if you keep watching, I will show you at the end of the video that I found baby fish in the gravel of my tank. Now, even though the surface is covered with this thin protein film, I want you to notice that the main part of my aquarium is crystal clear. So other than cutting down on the oxygen exchange at the surface and impeding some light, it's not really harmful. Here's the Eheim Skim350, a surface skimmer. Notice that it says remove surface films and microorganisms from the water surface. This isn't really a filter. So what it does is it draws the film from the surface of your water down into this little sponge, a very coarse sponge that I'm going to show you in a minute, and recirculates it right back into your aquarium water. Now that's not terrible because it actually will draw the film and whatever other materials are on the surface of your tank. If they pass through the little sponge filter on this Eheim system, it'll ultimately end up in your over-the-side filter, or in my case, a high-door canister filter. And this is a very simple mechanism. There's a little float that slides up and down so that when your surface water, if you dewater or if it dehydrates, it will stay at the surface. It has little cavities underneath of it that keep it full of air so that it stays right there. You also have control over the power of the filter, and you have 3 suction cups so that it can stick to the back of your fish tank. Now this is black. You'll notice later that when we put this in the tank and it shows up in video, it looks kind of light gray, but that just has to do with the refraction of light inside the fish tank. And this is a little motor with an impeller, and right here you can see the sponge. Again, not a very effective filter system, but it will trap, like some people have small plants and debris that floats on the surface, it will trap large particles, but that protein film is just going to go through this filter and be broken up and recycled back into the tank. Always when you get something new, wash it out with fresh water before you put it in your tank. Here it is. Look how it looks gray. It's actually, of course, black as you've seen earlier. You can wrap the electrical cord through that little bracket that's on the back there so it holds it in place. And again, check it to make sure that the extension is up to where it won't come out. And when I turn it on, look at this. This is full power though, and look how it's sucked down the top. So it does overwhelm the floats a little bit. You also want to make sure to turn this off when you're feeding your fish if you have flake food on the top. But on full power, look at all these bubbles that get blown around inside the tank. So there are micro bubbles that just go everywhere. It's pretty interesting. Of course, if you put it on the lowest power setting, then you don't get these bubbles at all. So I'm showing you kind of what it will do, worst case scenario. And you also notice that the receiving top is sitting low, and that's because the suction is so strong. When you put it on the lighter setting, then of course it sticks a little higher on the surface of your water. But it cleared up the surface of the water right away. So this is a 54-gallon bow front corner tank. So the surface area isn't that huge, but it cleaned it up immediately. And of course now I have to show you the interior of the tank. And these fish have been in the tank a little over a month. And this leads me to the second part of my video. But I do want to say, of course, that this Eheim Skim350, absolutely silent. It only draws 5 watts. And since my house is entirely solar powered, of course, power consumption is an issue, so we keep it down. And so you don't hear it. It works perfect. You can turn it off if you want to. I mean, you don't have to run it all the time. I'm just going to leave it on at its lowest setting. And there's a little veiled angelfish going by there. Now, what I'm showing you in the gravel at the bottom of my tank is that I've been, of course, doing partial water changes frequently. New tank, you want to keep the ammonia down and the nitrites down while it continues to cycle. And I noticed in the bottom of the bucket that there were little tiny fish, And who knows how long, we've been sucking the substrate and getting the debris and stuff out when you use a siphon to clean and change water in your tank. Who knows how many fish have been discarded that way. And I noticed that, see, these neon tetras are looking at this grass area, and they hover around that a lot. Plus, when you first turn the lights on in the morning, these Zebra Danios are zipping through there. And I noticed that the Zebra Danios look like they're ready to lay eggs, because they even wiggle through this grass. And then I noticed the angelfish and the other fish just hover around here, and I think they're just eating baby fish. But unless you really, really look, you wouldn't notice them. Look at this plastic tub. And if you look carefully, you see these tiny fry in the bottom of this tub, and they are Danio babies. So there are also little eggs. Here's 3 of them in a row. I used a pipette and actually took out maybe 27 of these baby fish. And those are just the ones that I came across randomly. So I have to think they're all over the tank. So if you're keeping Danios or some other fish species that reproduces easily in a tank, pay close attention. I'm going to show you what they look like in the gravel here in a minute. And it is amazing that they survive at all. When you look at them up close, it's like they have little food sacks on them. And I've isolated them so they don't get eaten. And this is what I want you to see. This is a gravel shot up against the glass inside the tank. That is Danio fry. So I wasn't able to use my camera on my microscope, otherwise I would have shown you a microscopic image of these little fry, because it's amazing the little flecks of color that are in their skin, and that their eyes are so metallic looking. And here's another one. Do you see the fry here on this little rock? If that were a black rock, I wouldn't even notice it. So, and I've altered the lighting here a little bit so you can get a better look. But it really is amazing. And they free swim through the openings of this aquarium gravel. So, and there it is. So I just wanted to share with you that if I hadn't been really looking closely at the debris that's ending up in the bucket when I'm changing water on the fish tank, I never would have noticed. And look to the right, there is a little Danio egg, and there's an embryo inside, and it actually twitches and moves around in there. So I have to think that they're spawning frequently and just dropping eggs everywhere. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the fish tank video. And thanks for watching, as always.